Out in the lonely heart of the Wild West, a woman was fixing a broken fence under the moonlight, until a quiet cowboy appeared and said the words that changed everything: "You don't have to be tough tonight." Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Where are you watching from? Let's get started. The night was colder than it should have been for summer, and the stars hung above like witnesses to something waiting to happen. The moonlight fell pale over a stretch of open land, where a woman worked alone, sleeves rolled, hands cut, fixing a broken fence that refused to stay upright. Her name was Lena Hart. And she wasn't supposed to be there. Not alone. Not this late. But life out west didn't always wait for comfort. Each pull of the wire made her palms sting. Each breath came out white and sharp. Somewhere behind her, a coyote cried, long, hollow, and close enough to make the horses shift in their stalls. She paused, looked over her shoulder, but saw nothing. Only the endless, open dark. Then came the sound of hoofbeats. Slow. Heavy. Drawn out. She straightened, heart pounding. Her father used to say you could tell the kind of man by the rhythm of his ride. Fast meant fear. Slow meant purpose. The rider was coming slow. A figure emerged through the dust, tall, hat pulled low, coat brushing the stirrups. The horse stopped a few feet from her, exhaling steam in the cold air. "You shouldn't be out here this late," the man said, his voice deep and calm, carrying the warmth of the firelight she didn't have. Lena didn't flinch. "Fence won't fix itself." He swung down from the saddle, boots hitting dirt. "No, but it can wait till morning." She glanced at him, rough face, unshaven jaw, eyes that looked like they'd seen too much sky and too little peace. She'd seen him before, at the last cattle auction, standing apart from the crowd. Folks called him Colt Avery, the quiet drifter who worked from ranch to ranch, never staying more than a season. "What are you doing here, Mr. Avery?" she asked, voice tight. He took off his gloves, eyes never leaving hers. "Heard hammering on my way back from town. Thought I'd see who's got the courage to fight the night alone." "I'm fine," she said quickly. "Been fine for a long time." Colt stepped closer, picked up the fallen hammer from the dirt, and drove a nail into the post like he'd done it 1,000 times. "No one's fine this far from town, fixing fences by moonlight." Lena's jaw tightened. "It's my ranch now. My responsibility." He didn't argue. He just looked at the horizon, where the land met the stars. Responsibility's a heavy saddle. Breaks most before it builds any. She wanted to tell him to leave. She wanted him to stay. The silence between them was thicker than the night. When she turned back to the fence, her hand slipped on a sharp wire. The sting made her gasp. Blood welled up fast. Colt was there in a second, catching her wrist gently. "You're bleeding." "It's nothing." He tore a strip from his handkerchief and wrapped it around her palm, firm but careful. "Don't say nothing when it hurts." For the first time in weeks, her eyes softened. She looked down at his hands, scarred, calloused, but steady as if they'd done this 100 times for someone who needed it. "You don't have to be tough tonight," he said quietly. That sentence hit harder than she wanted it to. Because for 2 years, since her father died and her brothers left chasing gold, being tough was all she had left to be. She looked away, blinking fast. "If I stop being tough, I lose everything." He shook his head. "You lose yourself first." The fence stood half-mended, the night still restless, but something in that moment shifted, not the wire, not the wood, but the space between them. A gust of wind carried dust through the air. The lantern on the post flickered, throwing wild shadows over their faces. Colt's horse snorted, restless. He glanced at it, then at the tree lean beyond. His eyes narrowed. "You got anyone else on this land?" "No," Lena said. "Just me. And 3 horses in the barn." "Then you got company." She froze. What? He pointed toward the dark ridge beyond the corral. The moonlight caught a flicker of movement, 2, maybe 3 figures on horseback, standing still, watching. Her heart kicked up. Ranch thieves? Maybe, Colt said, voice low. Or worse. He moved in front of her, hand instinctively resting near his belt, where a holstered Colt revolver glinted faintly. The men on the ridge didn't move. Then one of them whistled, sharp, echoing, like a warning. Lena whispered, they've been around for nights now. Thought it was just coyotes. Colt's tone hardened. Coyotes don't whistle. He looked at her. Lantern, out. Now. She blew it out, plunging them into the dark. The silence was so thick she could hear her own pulse. The horses in the barn whinnied nervously. Then came another sound, soft, metallic. The click of a gun being cocked. Colt muttered under his breath, stay low. He moved toward his horse, pulling a rifle from the saddle. Lena crouched behind the fence, her fingers gripping the dirt. The air smelled like cold iron and tension. A shot rang out. The sound ripped through the stillness, echoing across the land. The bullet hit the fence post inches from Colt's head, splintering the wood. Get inside, he shouted. But she didn't move. She was frozen, half from fear, half from disbelief. Colt fired once, sharp and fast. One of the riders bolted, his horse rearing. The others scattered into the dark. Dust clouded the air. When the echo faded, all that remained was the smell of gunpowder and silence. Colt breathed hard, keeping his rifle raised for a few more seconds before lowering it. You all right? He asked, looking back at her. She nodded shakily. Yes. I think so. He studied the ridge again. They'll be back. Not tonight, but soon. She swallowed hard. They've been trying to scare me off the land. They think a woman can't hold a ranch alone. He holstered the rifle slowly. Then they're wrong. But they won't stop trying. She crossed her arms, voice trembling. I can take care of myself. He walked up to her, standing close enough for his shadow to blend with hers. I don't doubt that. But there's a difference between strength and stubbornness. Her eyes met his, defiant but tired. Why do you care? He hesitated, long enough for the truth to find its way into his words. Because I've seen this before. A woman fighting the world, thinking no one's coming. My mother did the same after my father died. Worked herself to the bone till she forgot how to sleep. I swore if I ever saw that again, I wouldn't ride past it. For a moment, neither spoke. The night held them still, like even time had stopped to listen. You should leave before morning, Lena whispered. You've done enough. He shook his head. You fixed your fence tonight. Let me help fix the rest. She didn't answer, just looked away. The moonlight drew soft lines across her face, strong, yet fragile beneath all that steel. He set his rifle against the post, started checking the wire again. Tomorrow, I'll bring tools from town. Reinforce this corner. Those men won't find it easy next time. She finally said, you don't owe me anything. He smiled faintly. Maybe I owe myself something. The sound of hammering returned, slower now, calmer, shared. 2 sets of hands working in quiet rhythm beneath the pale sky. By dawn, the fence was mended, and so was something inside both of them that words couldn't quite name. As the first light brushed the hills, Lena leaned against the post, exhausted. Haven't slept through the night in months, she said softly. Colt turned toward her, eyes gentle. You can now. He stepped closer, brushing the dust from his gloves. You don't have to be tough tonight. Her lips parted slightly, eyes shimmering in the gold of morning. The sentence hung between them, simple, real, and heavier than any vow. She looked at him, half smiling through tears she didn't expect to fall. You really don't know when to quit, do you? Not when I find something worth staying for. A silence stretched, filled only by the hum of dawn and the faint whinny of the horses greeting the sun. Then, far off, a distant echo, the sound of hooves again. This time faint, fading away, not coming closer. Whoever had watched from the ridge was gone. Lena exhaled. For the first time in months, she didn't feel alone. Colt saddled his horse slowly. You should rest, he said, but didn't sound like he meant to leave. She asked, where will you go? He smiled a little. Maybe nowhere for a while. When he turned to go, she called after him. Colt? He looked back. Thank you. He tipped his hat, the corner of his mouth lifting just enough to show something like peace. Guess we both fixed something tonight. And as he rode away toward the light breaking over the hills, she stood by that fence, hand on the new post, heart still racing, knowing that somehow, in one long, dark night, the world had changed. She looked out at the empty land, the quiet hills, and whispered to herself, almost smiling, you don't have to be tough tonight. The wind carried it away like a promise, one that would come back with the next sunrise. Out here, some stories begin where others end. Sometimes a broken fence brings two souls together. Sometimes strength isn't about fighting alone, it's about letting someone stand beside you in the dark. This was one of those nights. And by the time the sun rose over Silver Valley, the world had already whispered their names.